Hello, welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer, back with a video on the Sagittarius new moon, drawn up for December 1st, 2024 at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're new, thank you for finding this channel, for being here, and for supporting this community with your positive energy. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so, hit the like button, and share these messages as you feel guided, all of which are free and easy ways to support this channel. This lunar cycle in Sagittarius initiates a sky is the limit attitude, ruled by Jupiter, the benefic planet of expansion and adventure, and accompanied by Mercury. Mercury and Jupiter mirror each other in an opposition, where each occupies the other's sign. Mercury is blending with Jupiter in mutual receptivity between third house practicality, curiosity, education and communication, and the ninth house universal mind, foreign affairs, travel, higher law, and worldview beliefs. It reminds me a lot of the Temperance card, where lower and higher energies are being exchanged, blending the elements in proportions that create more strength and durability, analogous to tempered glass. One is practical, third house, the other philosophical, ninth house. But both houses have to do with learning and getting the message out. Saturn's involved in this dynamic aspect by a t-square between the Sagittarius new moon and Jupiter. And it's demanding accountability by certain entities who have abused their positions of influence, creating chaos and confusion where there could have and should have been truth and clarity. Choices have to be made by each one of us about who we trust to deliver information that is authentic and grounded in reality, not fear-mongering, static noise that creates unnecessary anxiety. It's important to keep in mind that the lowest vibe of Gemini can be very duplicitous. The high vibe, of course, is sharing useful information. Lies are not useful or practical to the higher mind perspective, and certainly not useful in delivering justice. They're only useful to the perpetrator who stands to gain from spreading the lies. But we don't need to worry about that because the truth will always prevail. And I believe this t-square from Saturn is clamping down on the lying nature of certain media entities and personalities. It reminds me of the quote, "What tangled webs we weave, when first we set out to deceive." What this feels like to me is a new era of justice returning at this Sagittarius new moon cycle, especially since both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde. It's as if they're combing over every page of history or data, making sure that every detail is reviewed and any wrongs are being restored to justice. Justice is receiving a major facelift. So is the entire field of education, both early ed and higher academia, not to mention the field of broadcasting. But Saturn in the 6th is also bringing accountability to matters related to healthcare. And Neptune on the angle puts an exclamation point on this matter. Both are pointing out the ways that healthcare has been industrialized, corporatized, and institutionalized, ultimately having a dissolving and detrimental effect on public health, rather than fortifying it. With Virgo rising, Mercury is one of the rulers of this chart. The other ruler of Virgo is Chiron, telling us that there are major opportunities for healing during this lunar cycle if we choose to see it that way. We're finishing up the nodal axis in Aries and Libra. It's going to shift into Pisces and Virgo on January 12th. But in this chart, the Libra South Node sits in the first house, so its energy is front and center at this lunar cycle. That, combined with the retrograde rulers, Mercury and Chiron, for this chart, and then Jupiter for the new moon, clearly indicates that our past is under a microscope right now, and a lot of information will need to be mentally digested and spiritually or philosophically understood. The ruler of the South Node, Venus, conjuncts Pluto in the 4th house. again signifying major transformation of the previous way we've done things, especially as they relate to our domestic safety. I do perceive the fourth house as our nation's border, because astrologically, the fourth is, yes, the domestic scene and home, but it also represents protection. It is the protective barrier that keeps loved ones safe, whether it's a house we're talking about, or a nation, or the mother's womb, protecting the unborn. With Venus conjunct Pluto, it's indicating the profound transformation taking place regarding our past approach, Venus, that will ultimately deliver new life and fundamental safety and security, especially since Jupiter rules this fourth house, Sagittarius on the fourth house cusp. Sag on the fourth also signifies many more actual foreigners at our border, but it feels like Jupiter retrograde is rectifying this issue as well as the previous administration's laws that allowed so many to enter indiscriminately. But it also indicates that it is our spiritual and philosophical beliefs that are influencing the current events at the border. South Node in the first is letting go of the my way or the highway attitude and allowing leadership that incorporates others' points of view to harmonize with it for the good of the whole. A natural decay of outworn patterns from our past is fertilizing the garden for our future. And that future is informed by the Aries North Node, plus its ruler Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo shares a strong bond with the Sun and actually forms a tight trine to the Sun and Moon. In the 11th house, Mars is activating ambitions about our future, our hopes and our wishes for generations to come, and the positive progression for humanity's evolution. Leo is loyal, but it also requires loyalty from others, from its allies, another 11th house theme. There is also mutual receptivity between the 11th and 5th houses, because Aquarius sits on the 5th house cusp and informs the 5th house energy. So positive evolutionary change that allows all beings to be uniquely who they are without imposing those individual standards on the rest of the world is what ultimately leads to happiness. Being dedicated to our unique path, no matter how it differs from another's, is important as long as we allow others the freedom to do the same. We can all coexist without imposing our beliefs on anyone else, and this is a 9th house theme, which is where we find Uranus, the modern ruler of Aquarius. Uranus itself, the planet of surprising change, responsible for our forward evolution, is in harmony with Venus, the ruler of our past. This signifies that radical change to the past is supported right now. With both in earth signs, these changes are serving to stabilize instead of being here today, gone tomorrow, will actually take root and endure. In its conjunction to Sedna, Uranus and Venus's trine links up with a trine from Pluto to Sedna. These are the planets most distant from Earth, which help the entire world face our personal and planetary shadow, see into our dark past, and transform what no longer works so that we can rise to a new level of consciousness that allows everyone to transcend previous limitations. These two planets also have so much to do with our abundance, our divine inheritance. Both Pluto and Sedna signify energy that is happening behind the scenes in the shrouded mystery, but it is and will become manifest when we are willing to take that narrow path where we have to face our fears related to financial lack and emotional abandonment and still stay the course of divine alignment. We are absolutely delivered to that proverbial and literal jubilee or promised land where everything we thought we lost is returned to us 10,000-fold. So all in all, I do see this Sagittarius new moon as a new cycle of justice that is requiring a great deal of reflection and review. With these retrograde planets, it's a process that feels like it's one step forward, 2 steps back, and 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but eventually we are going to get there. Pluto and Sedna are steering this planetary ship, an era shift, to ensure that life is honored by our justice system, which has for too long been saturated by those all too willing to sacrifice the greater good so that they can save their own skin and avoid accountability. But accountability is definitely coming. Truth and justice will ultimately prevail, with Saturn making that t-square from this new moon to Jupiter. So that is what I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.